Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Today, we are sitting here with the FC.Tucker team here in Carmel, Indiana. Jeff Mathey, FC.Tucker, Shelly Walters, FC.Tucker, and Kyle Morris, FC.Tucker, all from Carmel, Indiana. We got to get some Indy people in here, but Justin Griffith with Keller Williams could not make it in today because I think he had a listing or a showing. Right, Shelly?
He had a closing.
Closing, okay. And then Greg Cooper, we actually reached out to Greg Cooper. What time did you do that today, Shelly? 2 hours ahead of time. And Cooper didn't even give us the common courtesy to what, Shelly?
Respond.
Okay. So, Greg Cooper, we're at you, and you're going to be on the show in the next week or two. Anyway, hey, let's talk about what's going on in the market right now. It's almost at the end of January. It's very cold out.
It is the end of January.
Literally
almost
the last day.
It's the last day.
Oh, it is? Okay. Hey, it is. What's going on in the market, you guys? Shelly, kick it off.
All right, so looking at the stats again, inventory is just not picking up. It's actually continuing to decline enough that I'm kind of wondering about something we should talk about, what we think might be happening in the spring in the market. Carmel had 23 new active, 11 pended. Currently, there are only 95 active in Carmel. In the past 30 days, 66 sold. Average days on market was 37, but the median was 20. We get into this because of
20 what?
20 days on market.
Gotcha.
So days on market are pretty good. That means inventory is low. That's what we probably expect. So days on market are starting to go down, and I think that has a correlation with how much inventory we do not have. Westfield, 15 new actives, but if I want to say there's 4 new ones there, so that was a total of 19. 7 pended, but 4 of those were new, so really only 3 pended. I keep saying that because when you see a builder pend a house and list a house, it always just says 1 day on market because they list and sell them on that 1 day. Currently 142 active in Westfield. There's 58 that have sold in the past 30 days. 31 of those were new builds.
Whoa.
So Westfield is really high on new
So how many homes do you have listed in Carmel right now?
95.
95. I'm looking at another source here, and something's off here, and this always happens, and I know your numbers are right, but let's talk about this so people understand this. Why does Zillow say we have 168 agent listings, and I only have houses and townhomes and condos selected? Should I hit multifamily? It would make the number go up?
It probably would.
Yep.
There's a few in there.
It really
Counts
counts
leases as well in there.
Yeah, and again,
I got the leases turned off, but here's my point. This is why this show is so important. We get our numbers of exactly what's going on, and they're making this out to be a lot better than it really is.
well, you just made me have a little bit of hair on the back of my neck stand up when you said Zillow says,
right?
Because that's just something we don't like to hear.
No, I agree with that. That's why I brought this up today. It's because it seems to me some of their stuff, it's got a lot of fluff in it, and it's just not accurate. Why is that, Kyle?
Well, I mean, part of it's because we don't sell all of our data. State of Indiana doesn't sell all our data to Zillow, but it's hard because I know consumers use it, and it doesn't insanely bother me as long as they are engaging with a real estate agent, because my opinion, the reason it gets used so much is because it's the most user friendly. It just is. It's
right.
Very consumer friendly as far as ease of use. But to your point, the stats just aren't
right.
It's
funny you said that because about 7:30 this morning, I went to FC.Tucker's website. For this branch, this office, but I mainly wanted to know what was going on in Carmel, and it's completely different. It's like you're right on point, Shelly, of what you're talking about, and I see this big difference. People need to understand that if you want accuracy, they need to listen to the show, see what's going on, the price point, the days on market, because this is very misleading in a way.
Well, that's why we always say the Zestimate is something you should not be looking at, because Zillow is looking at so much different information pulling from everything. We are pulling directly from MyBoard, which is our stats for the local area, telling us exactly what we need to know all the way down to the exact neighborhood. Zillow's Zestimate does not look all the way down to the neighborhood.
Oh, no.
So
it goes within a radius and a zip code.
Right. You're talking about not only Zestimate, you're talking about the values too, right? The little pre-value. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what
that's
there's
Yes. Well, I have a better one than that. That's really pretty close to being on point. And we'll put that.
Be me, Kyle, or Jeff.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it would.
It doesn't
But-
take into account condition, location, like things that actually impact pricing of a home and selling.
So the
close
stats I'm
price.
pulling, we're all pulling,
Yeah.
is directly from my board. Today's market, looking exactly at Carmel, Indiana.
Right.
They may be looking at Carmel, Indiana, but like he said,
They're
pulling
usually a
up
couple months
leases.
behind.
They could
also.
have things that are saying active that I've already pinned that have not shown up at Zillow yet. So these are accurate with using our MyBore.
I found a couple duplicate listings in there before too. That
Mhm.
someone like the owner put up there, as well as it feeds over from MyBore.
If you do it as a lease and a sell, it does it the same house
Gotcha.
twice.
Okay.
But
so what?
the piece to it is, I get that people are going to look at it.
Sure.
Just make sure. I set up
Just
searches.
That's
for
okay. I
people.
mean, if they
send
want to
me
look at
stuff.
it, they can. It's a good guide. But when they find the agent at FC.Tucker for this week, FC.Tucker, because the Compass and Keller Williams people aren't here, they can go to Keller Williams. I mean, they can go to FC.Tucker, go on their site, and get the
They can come to us every week.
right. I'm going to tell you something about FC.Tucker site. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting here at the FC.Tucker office. The site is very user-friendly for somebody that doesn't know what the heck they're doing as a first or second home buyer, because people don't get on these sites like we do all the time, okay? And it is user-friendly. So whoever's in charge of that with FC.Tucker, honestly, has done a hell of a job.
Yeah. Well, the more cumbersome and wonky it is, like people just give up. They
Cumbersome and what?
wonky.
Wonky. The
Wonky.
word
What
of
does
the
that mean?
day.
Wonky's the word of the day with him.
It means odd.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
Odd.
like, but I do think that's why those sites get a lot of traffic, is because they've spent more money on that piece than where we spend a lot of money on the accuracy piece and all of that. You know, we
Right.
have memberships to MyBore, all this other stuff.
All right.
So
All right, let's get back to stats. Recap the Carmel for me real quick, and then let's move over to Westfield because I can't remember.
Okay, so Carmel, 23 new active, 11 pended, currently active 95, sold in the past 30 days was 66 with an average day on the market 37, median is 20. And then Westfield, 15 hit the market, 4 of those were new builds. So those 4 also pended immediately, so that's where I show the 1 day on
Got you.
So really 3 of the 15 sold. Currently 142 houses on the market in Westfield. 58 sold in the past 30 days, 31 were new builds, and that shows an average days on market for the past 30 days was 58, median was 41. So
Okay.
Westfield has a little higher days on market. Zionsville, 11 hit the market. 5 of those were new builds, so really only 6 hit the market.
Gotcha.
3 of those pended. 35 currently active in Zionsville, so Zionsville's inventory is really low. 14 sold in the past 30 days with an average days of 24 on the market. So we were seeing in the past month of average days on the market, I would say 30 to 40. thinking that.
Roughly.
So I say that our days on market are starting to go down.
yep.
Okay. Kyle, let's move over to you on the housing traffic report. It's a helicopter.
So I
Going over the
guess
city.
I mean I'm just saying the same thing that Shelly is. Inventory is a really, really big problem. I mean, I think we need to talk about that on the show a little bit here today. I know we've talked about the past couple of weeks.
We can. problem.
Just for example, I was flipping back. Our inventory is so low in like Fishers and Noblesville. It's the same as we were looking at in April of last year when we had nothing, right? And so there was
Right.
the concern there. We're 60 days out from really the market really heating up for the spring selling season. And I just don't see enough houses going on the market to impact it. And at that point, you know, I had a bunch that sold in 7 days when I was looking at it, and then average days on market is up in that 30 range again. But so stuff is starting to sell quick as well, but there's just not much. So when something good comes out, it sells really quick. As
Absolutely.
we said. But the bigger problem is if we get into April and you have more people who are in that buying pool looking at these houses.
Yeah, but
and-
don't you think it's going to turn on just a little bit? I mean, April comes along, people are going to say, hey,
No, there will be more.
they got to be used to the rates that are here now. I don't want to get into rates today, but
People
you know,
already are.
yeah, they're used to it. And the bottom line is they don't like it, but they know that's the norm. But you know, I think people are going to get, like Jeff, you'll get calls, people wanting to list their home. It's coming this spring. And of course they come up to you, you know, what do you think I should do? This, that, and the other. Hell, I think that you're going to have a premium price house that you're probably going to get full list with low inventory, that's the home is ready. We talked about that on the show last week, right?
Well, it's
We're still seeing 99% list to sale ratio, 100% list to sale ratio, and everything right now.
Yeah, and so I mean, people who are worried about the rates, I mean, they're like, oh, these are high.
Yeah, we don't need to get into rates.
Well, but the past 2 years were just that low. It's not that these are that high, actually, right? Like, that's kind of the conversation to a certain extent. But my bigger concern is, even though the market will heat up and there will be more houses on the market, we are at such a deficit, it won't catch up quick enough. And all of a sudden, you have 4 people competing for a dream home again because there's not much on the market. I don't know how we're going to avoid overlist prices this year.
Well, not only overlist prices, but you're probably going to have some people, I mean, and buyers don't understand this. Buyers, if you're out there listening to this podcast and you're thinking about buying a new home, I'm telling you, you need an advocate. Go to a real estate agent that has history on builds to go through that, walk through the deal with you, give you your expectations, what's going on, because I think you're going to see some new home inventory going to sell.
Well, you see that in Westfield.
No, I know you see that in Westfield, but the bottom line is you're going to see it, and they need your expertise. Yeah. You wouldn't believe how many people that I have talked to that have built homes in a certain area. They just didn't know what was going on, and they needed some guidance. And here's the thing. It doesn't cost them anything. Yep. It doesn't cost them anything to get the knowledge that you guys have to go out and buy a home. Okay, Give me Fisher's again. Let's go.
Okay, so Fisher's 23 went on the market in the past week, anywhere from 230,000 to 1.1 million. 8 of them are active, and 15 of them pended. So quite a few actually pended in 7 days, right?
Yeah.
34 days on market is average days on market, and there's only 78. And last week I was complaining because there was 89 or something like that.
And remember when we were at like 150, 160 was our
and that's low.
November and December.
Yeah. That is just such a significant drop. That's why I just don't see how we can backfill it quick enough to actually impact things.
Okay. What do we got for Noblesville?
Noblesville, we had 16 go on the market, anywhere from 148 to 1.6 million. 11 of those are still active. Only 5 pended. Noblesville has kind of seen kind of a downtick, I think, since August. Just that inventory's been lower, so just not as much has been moving. So,
exactly.
But there's 74 on the market there, but their average days on market's a little bit higher. They have 42 days on market. But when I was looking at it, I didn't look at median this week. I usually do. I had one that sold this week in Noblesville that had been on the market since May. So, that's going to be a huge, huge swing. You take that out of it, you're going to be much lower. So.
Gotcha. I'm looking at a Broad Ripple here right now on the FC.Tucker site, and it's completely different than a Zillow, and the number is lower on the FC.Tucker site compared to Zillow. So right now, there's a total of 18 results, homes for sale in Broad Ripple, and the lowest price that I have right now in Broad Ripple is right around $219,000, and it says it's been out there about 35 days. I don't know what the problem of it with this house is or not, but Big Fella was here. That's a.k.a. Justin Griffith with Keller Williams. We'd be able to get down to the stats on it.
Those numbers sound more accurate for Broad Ripple.
Yeah. And then the
5 days on market is not bad.
That might be in a flood zone too.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Jeff?
That might be in a flood zone.
Yeah, I've dealt with that down there a lot. You're absolutely right. So, Jeff, I'm going to pull up Meridian Kessler here in a little bit. So what do you think about people that are in the market right now that are looking to get pre-qualified right now? What should they expect, right? We do have a couple Fed rates going up. I don't think they're going to go a half a point. I think we're going to get hit with quarters now. That's what they're talking about. I think these people that have old pre-approvals need to refresh their new pre-approvals. Don't you agree with that?
Definitely have to have a fresh one. Make sure everything still lines up with what your goals are pricing-wise. Obviously, right now is probably the time to buy with inventory going down and more buyers coming into the market in the spring and summer. You can expect more multiple offer situations, especially if inventory keeps declining and days on market go down as well.
It's a good time to be a first-time home buyer within the next 60 days.
Yeah, it is. But here's, it's funny. I'm telling you, I watch real estate shows every night, and I watch pretty current ones. All right,
Kinda
I do catch up.
sounds depressing to a certain
No,
extent.
I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what the big dogs are saying out in L.A. And I'm not going to say their names, so maybe I don't know if we could get sued or anything. But here's what they're saying. They're talking about guys out here selling $6 and $8 and $9 million homes that they don't have any inventory, and the buyers are reluctant to put the home on the market because of interest rates. And the guy says last night on the show, if this house is $2 million more because of lower inventory, because they sell on demand out there, and the interest rate's a little higher, he actually said, and she actually said, that knocks our buyer out of the market. They can't, even the rich can't afford when the rates are up, and that just goes to show you that it's everywhere. It's realistically happening to the rich as it is to the normal person or as the first-time home buyer.
Well, I think we did have a lot of buyers that sat back and thought, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. And the spring is coming now, and that would be the buyers that have sat back and let's see what happened. And this is what's happened. We're, 6.5 or whatever percentage point around there. This is where we are. So those that are sitting and waiting and trying to figure out if it's going to go down, it doesn't look like it will anytime soon. So if you're interested in buying or you need to buy, I absolutely think you should be out there looking right now instead of waiting till March or April when multiple offers start and we're back to maybe potentially paying $20,000, $10,000, $30,000 over list again, plus the interest rate. So we've been saying that all along.
Right now, you can still ask sellers for points and
the points is very helpful.
Repairs to the house. And
I actually talked to somebody this weekend who was working with somebody, and they were talking about how they purchased the home and they were sad about the interest rates and everything like that.
Sad. Okay, go ahead.
That's my
I just wondered.
That's my word for
it. That's all right. Sad. Got it.
So they were talking about how their rates and everything, and I said, well, did you even talk about the 2-1 buy down or any help with the seller?
They don't even know what you're talking about.
The agent, he goes, my agent didn't tell me anything like
Nope.
that. And I said,
Could have cost them a house.
Well, they got the house, but it cost him some money.
Right.
And he paid full list.
Well, he should have paid full list with a 2-1 buy down, and he would have saved a bunch of money.
Yeah. So
you can also assume loans too.
Yep.
What?
You can also assume loans too.
Yeah, a lot of those loans are just, there's not very many of them
on
out
the down
there.
payment. But
Right.
the thing about that is just make sure you're working with an agent who's understanding what we have to do in this market to help out you as a buyer, in the best interest of you for what your situation is in these times with the interest rates and everything else. So
That's exactly right. These buyers, like, Jeff, you and Kyle and everybody out here, I don't know how often you bring it up, but when somebody's walking through a house and saying, I don't know if I can afford this or not, or whatever the situation is, with today's interest rates, you have to bring up the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down. Okay. Not a lot of people want to participate on that because it costs a little bit more money. But the bottom line is, if you can get a guy in a 4.5% interest rate, Jeff, you know what? You got them in, they're ready to buy. They're ready to buy and get themselves a nice home.
I mean, just think how many, like to your point of, somebody who's in it all the time, just think how many changes we've had in the past 6-7 months just on this podcast, right? So we went from talking about competitive offers, as is, escalation clauses to, we thought that the market was pivoting before everybody else, to all of a sudden we're talking about high interest rates, to then we're talking about how do you do competitive financing with buy downs, to talking about the winter selling season, to now an inventory problem in 6 months. Like, that's how much it has swung back and forth.
What do you think about that, Shelly?
Well, the whole thing is just knowing to stay up on what's going on right now and to look forward to what's coming and being able to understand how this is going to affect all of us and how it's going to affect the seller, how it's going to affect the buyer. So I just think that when we're looking at rates, just know there's help for buyers out there.
Right. But I want to go back to what a little bit of the show last week. Okay. The people are going to start getting ready probably in 30 to 45 days thinking, oh, it's springtime here. I want to get my home and everything done. The bottom line is, I got to tell you something. If they start taking care of the home that they're doing and just cleaning it up, getting the yard ready, Shelly.
Yes.
And getting the yard ready. You don't have to watch TV right now. The bottom line is, they're going to get probably a premium price out of their real estate, don't you think?
They are. To work on the inside right now, so that way when March rolls around and you start to get flowers popping up. All you got to do is
Get
deal
that
with the
mulch
outside
down.
real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, get everything ready to go. I mean, I can't wait to cut the grass if you want to know the truth.
That's
I
the
can't-
big.
I'm
you can
telling
cut
you.
mine if you want.
I might do it. I mean, the bottom line is, get the garage cleaned out. Get things just clean and organized. Maybe you can't afford to paint the whole house inside or out, but I'm telling you, organization is everything.
Well, the biggest mistake I think we all see as professionals with buyers and sellers is they bring us into the process too late. And I don't mean like
Right.
that we can't get it done, like 2 months. If we would have had an extra 2 months, I could have made the experience much more enjoyable, much less stressful, because we would have been able to timeline everything and game plan everything a little bit better, instead of them calling you up and then be like, well, we've done most of it. Will you come in? Let's take a look at, like, are we ready to go and stuff? And, we want to list in like 30 days. I'd rather
Or
come
less.
in. Yeah. Or like 2 weeks. I'd rather know 6 months, 3 months in advance. Hey, this is what, and I have a lot of people reach out to me like that, but it's a coin flip on what I get, right? So, but when people are way ahead of the curve on their timeline, even to just talk to us about like they're thinking about doing it, not that they've even made the decision to do it, they have a better experience. They get a better house when they buy, and they sell their house for more money because they're more prepared for both.
And I also want to advocate for that pre-inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Helps you as a seller very much to know what you're going to deal with. If a buyer finds it, you want to find it first.
And just little things like having your house cleaned, like all the registers, fans, stuff like that. It makes a huge difference when a buyer's walking through.
Yep.
Yeah, we always say the buyers, when they see what they can see, they're curious what they can't see.
Oh gosh, all the time. Yeah.
And
So-
little tiny things like broken light switch covers, stuff like that.
I know it seems.
Light bulbs out of the
right.
light
Yeah.
fixture.
Well, if I was walking through a house and I saw a bunch of stuff that, just like you said, a broken light switch or this, that, and the other thing, what else is wrong with this house? If they're not going to fix that little tiny thing,
It's
what else do
25
we have
cents.
here? Right.
That's natural human, right? Like assumption, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't think that's wrong about anybody who does that. It's just that's what people do. But they also do it the other way. When they see good things, they start to think more good things.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
like you just got to know what you're dealing
The
with.
house is
Well,
cared for.
Let's wrap up this show, but I want to leave it on I don't know if this is a negative, but the Federal Reserve is likely to hike interest rates again. It's probably going to be today or tomorrow. What does that mean? They're talking anywhere from a half, maybe even a quarter, which a quarter saying, hey, things are slowing down enough for them not to hike it too much, which is not a bad thing, okay? It's still going to make your house a little bit more expensive, but understand that's not a full quarter of a point or half a point on your mortgage rate. This is a Fed's fund rate that reflects all different interest rates, whether it's a CD, putting money in savings account, or borrowing money, okay? So it does change daily. If you have any questions for anybody on this podcast, we do have a number, 317-376-8001. But, Jeff, if somebody wanted to contact you and get a hold of you at your new FC.Tucker company, how would they get a hold of you, please?
My cell phone is still 773-859-0926.
Okay, and Shelly?
You can reach me at my cell phone, 317-201-2601. Shelly Walters Realty Group,
What company do you work for?
FC.Tucker.
Okay. Come on, Big Daddy, give it to me.
S'mores Property Group with FC.Tucker. It's 317-649-5122.
Moore's Property Group. I wonder what company they're with.
FC.Tucker.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Feel like I said
All right. Hey, thank you, everybody, for listening to us today at the FC.Tucker office here in Carmel, Indiana. It's an FC.Tucker week, it sounds like. And we'll talk to Greg Cooper next week from Compass, Justin Griffith next week from Keller Williams. And we got some new special guests coming on the show, some friends of Shelly's. I don't know if they liked you or not, Kyle, but they're friends of Shelly's. And we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Well, and I want to just say really quickly, congratulations to Kyle. He won a huge award at the MyBore event this past weekend.
That's right.
He won the Bud Tucker Award,
Yep.
which is all in regard.
And you know what? We're going to put that in the link on the show. Okay, so we will put that on the link to let everybody see Kyle. You had your hair messed up a little bit in that picture, but anyway, I'm kidding.
Well, anyway, the
give a
Bud
speech
Tucker
and
Award,
everything.
yeah, it's all about just giving back to the community
Yep.
and how much he does. So I just want to really, Kyle really pours out to his community and all of his work that he does for a lot of people. So congratulations.
Thank you, Kyle Morse, FC
I
Tucker.
appreciate it, guys.
I appreciate everything. We'll talk to you guys next week.